economical standpoint or
Oh, okay.
authority or whatever.
I like
You know
that.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Alright, I'll go first.
Okay.
Is it filming?
Yeah.
Alright, so,
Is
well,
it okay if I say?
yeah, of course. Like I just said, do you think you're successful? And if you do, then which field? I guess. Wait, let me restart. Okay. Do you feel successful? It's a big question.
Some days.
Some-
The truth is that in life you feel like a failure a lot, especially in Christian ministry. You know, you're constantly dealing with people who might leave the church or get mad about you or say, you know, something that you say. Or, you know, you might be a pastor in an era in which people, the vast majority of people under 40 years old don't go to church. So it's hard not to take it personally sometimes. But externally, I own a home, I'm married, I have 2 kids, I have a dog, a cat, a guinea pig. You know, I have a nice front yard, a nice backyard. Like, by all the standards of the world, I would say that I'm successful. I'm not a gambling addict, I'm not a porn addict, I'm not a drug addict. I'm doing pretty good, you know? But I always kind of want more too. So there's never like a point where I'm like satisfied. There's never a day when I go to sleep and I'm like, oh, I'm everywhere I want to be. I've still got goals that I want to accomplish for the church, for my kids, you know, for my home life, for my marriage. There's still things in the world I want to see. So all in all, I would say yes, I am successful. If I were my parent, you know, I'd be perfectly happy. But living with failure is a fact of life, and you have to learn to accept it, deal with it, live with it, not go off into drugs to make the pain of failure go away. You're going to have to learn that's part of your maturity as an adult. It's dealing with failure, dealing with difficulty, working through it, and getting better as a result.
Yeah, and so, do you find like what you do like real fulfilling?
Very fulfilling.
Very fulfilling. That's
Yes.
good.
I in some ways being a pastor is in some ways it was kind of the easy path because I knew that there were going to be a need for pastors.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like job security. That's kind of how I thought about it when I was younger. And you know, the truth is, as a pastor, I don't do what a lot of people think I do. Like, I don't just sit around and write sermons or read books. You know, I manage the whole property. So I end up spending a lot of time doing stuff that I never got any training for at all.
Yeah.
Which I won't go into. But yeah, it's fulfilling. I think that you should all find something that you're interested in, that you're passionate about. Try to own your own business if you can. Be an entrepreneur. You know, don't work for the man. You know, don't just go into a company and be like, oh, okay, I'll push your paper for you. I'll do whatever you say, and be your own person. You know, but you got to bring value too. Like, you need to go to school. You need to acquire skills that the market needs, which, by the way, are changing by the day. I'm not sure if y'all are following the AI revolution and ChatGPT. If y'all know what those things are, there's a lot of jobs that are probably going to disappear in, you know, the next 5 or 10 years. You guys need to acquire skills that are needed. Maybe technical skills, computer skills, vocational skills. Be a car mechanic. You'll always have work.
Good advice.
But I do find it fulfilling, especially because I love talking to students. I love talking to young people about Jesus. And I think that my members value what I do as a pastor.
That's fulfilling.
I'll go next. So, as a pastor, do you feel like you should have taken another path of success? Like, do you feel successful as a pastor, Ray?
Well, like I said, I pastor a small church. So when people think about church, they might think about what they see on TV, like thousands and thousands of people, you know, like at a church. That's not my experience at all. Like, if 60 or 70 people show up, like, that's a good Sunday for me. So, but we kind of exist by the skin of our teeth. You know what I'm saying? So, in some ways, I do feel like a failure. Like, one of the things that I've had to do as a pastor is figure out ways we can use our building to raise income, like raise money. So we have commercial kitchens. I have an ice cream vendor. I used to have a coffee roaster. I have a cookie baker. I have someone that makes sandwiches. So I'm like, you know, those are all people that pay me to use my space so that I can be a full-time pastor. If I didn't have, I have a preschool, I have dancing groups, I have someone that's going to rent out my parsonage, my house. I have another church that rents space from us. That's when I was saying earlier, like I'm a property manager. I have all these people that use our building so that I can be a full-time pastor. If I did not have all of that, I could not be a full-time pastor. I would be but you asked if something about my training. So I kind of joke that like every seminary, that's the school you go to learn how to be a pastor, right? Like every seminary should have like a technical training institute like attached to it, right? So, oh, you want to be a pastor? Cool, go learn Greek, Hebrew, church history, learn how to preach, learn how to do pastoral counseling. Also, you can be a plumber, an HVAC technician, or an auto mechanic. But you're going to have to learn both because there are going to be fewer and fewer churches that will actually allow you to be an independent, standalone, full-time pastor. Because nobody your age goes to church.
I go to church.
Thank you.
I also go to
Thank
church.
you. Thank you. Will you go when you're 22 and you're on your own and you don't live at your parents' house anymore?
Probably.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. That's actually quite encouraging to hear. Because the numbers are basically that people under 40, probably less than 20% go to church. And do they give enough to support the church? I mean, are they giving offerings and whatnot to help support? You know, people like me depend on the generosity of people. But I don't know if that was your question.
Well, it's fine. My boyfriend's extremely Catholic. She volunteers every weekend.
Bless his soul. How
Um,
about that? Okay.
But another question I have is, would you take another path to be successful, or are you happy that you became a priest or a preacher?
I'm very happy that I became a pastor. You know, yeah, I think I could be happy doing other things. It's kind of hard to imagine.
What would you have picked? Or have you
Probably
always
some-
thought from like a young age you wanted to be a pastor?
I'll tell you a story. When I was in high school, I started thinking about being a pastor because my mother was a music director. We always went to church. It was very familiar to me. I guess you would say I felt the call then. But I told someone in a drama class in high school that I wanted to go into the ministry. But she misheard me and she thought I said the military. So she got in front of the whole class because we were just doing like introductions, right? And she was like, "This is Evan. He wants to go into the military." And I was like, that isn't what I said. And I felt so embarrassed that I had finally told someone I wanted to go into the ministry and she got it wrong. And I was like, oh, maybe God doesn't want me to go into the ministry at all. So I quit thinking about it from then for a couple of years. Eventually I thought about it. I got a degree in music actually. I played classical guitar in college, got through music, you know, my 4-year degree, got that out of the way. But what I will say is that when I was studying the guitar in music, you know, getting my music degree in college, like, I got to my senior year and I was like, why am I doing this? There's like 5,000 other people in America who want to do what I'm doing, play the guitar for a living, like, and they're better than me. And I could go to my school for the next 7 years, get a doctorate in music, and what will it benefit the world? It won't do anybody any good, right? Like, I'll just be another guitarist teaching people, making hardly any money when someone else wants to do that. So I realized that like I wanted to dedicate my life to like doing something that was needed and that had value. That's what they say vocation is. Vocation is your greatest desire coupled with the world's greatest need. So that's what I would encourage you guys to think about. Then you're successful. But you know, like I'm also married with kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's a big part of your success in life too. Like you don't have like a job is not going to make you happy. In fact, your job is going to even the best job that you love, where you're successful, you're still going to have days of real frustration and real disappointment. So I definitely encourage you guys, hey, get married, have children, make it happen, homeschool your kids. That's from the teacher. You know, that's what we're doing now. Anyway, that's a whole other subject. But there's a lot of ways to measure success.
Are there some things that you regret doing?
Some things I regret, like personal sins I've committed,
No.
like career-wise.
Yeah, career-wise.
No, I don't have any regrets. I mean, I did work for a couple of years as a recruiter, like a headhunter for a corporation, and I really, really hated doing that. But I mean, I learned something along the way. Like when you guys try to figure out what your life path is going to be, like it's not going to be like straight up. It's going to be like that, right? And it's going to go down. It's going to go up. Like you got to ride out the tough spots and learn from it. That's going to help you figure out what you really want to do, like and what your passion really is. And don't listen to what the world says you should do. Do not listen. Like, the world is going to tell you, especially women, hey, you can do it all. You can have kids. You can work. You can do this. It's like, there are a lot of women very happy raising their children and be marrying a guy who can make enough money, which is getting harder because everything's getting more expensive, and I understand that. But like follow, like, people say follow your passion, and then you know what they do at all these schools? They tell you what your passion is. They tell you the thing that you're supposed to love. Do not listen to them. They will brainwash you. These schools will brainwash you. Do not listen. Follow your passion, read books, listen to interesting people, find out what's interesting to you, and follow that path. It does not, and by the way, like, you don't have to go to college to find that.
There's trade schools. Like-
There's trade schools, there's so much opportunity. You know, there's so much you can do without going on this cookie cutter path that's like super expensive.
Actually, that's good. The HCC is not that expensive, but also, are there
This is true. Thank you, HCC, for your affordability.
Okay.
are there some things you would change from your past?
I mean, professionally, no. Personally, yeah, but you kind of learn from all that stuff, you know. Like, you learn from your dumb decisions and from your mistakes, so.
Who wants,
Alright, Michelle, what's to go next?
who wants to go?
Why you became a pastor?
When I was in my early 20s, I like listened to people like Joel Osteen, and I thought, oh, I'm a young guy, I'm charismatic. It's so embarrassing to even say. But I thought, oh, I'll be like him, I'll have a big church one day. Later, when I, that's a really loud concert.
Yeah, 1 second.
So, maybe they'll pass. Later, I read a very short book called Life Together by a guy named Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was a German pastor in the 1940s, and he was actually killed by the Nazis basically 2 weeks before the war ended. And in that book, Life Together by Dietrich Bonhoeffer, he talks about the spiritual reality of the church. And that really convinced me that if I'm going to be a pastor, I have to be totally sold out to the mission. Like, so whatever the cost, whatever the difficulty, it's not about having a big church and making lots of money and being some stupid motivational speaker. That is crap. That is not the real church at all. In fact, just to pick on poor Joel Osteen, the man is not a pastor. And people will even say, oh, he's not a pastor, he's a motivational speaker. I say, well, it says on the sign on the billboard on I-59 that, you know, he's a pastor. And but he didn't really ever preach the gospel. So if you don't ever preach the gospel, how can you be a pastor? So I don't remember what your question was, but I think what was your question?
It was, is there any particular reason why you became a
Oh,
pastor?
so, you know, I mean, also I will say, like, within the church, you know, you'll find, and I love small churches, you'll find the best people. I mean, great people. People that are the salt of the earth, people that are faithful, people that fight the good fight, that work for good causes. Just last night, I took my daughter to a pro-life group, and we're raising money for a center that helps women have their babies. You know, and I told my daughter, I'm like, you hang out with this group of people, you will never spend time with a more wholesome, righteous group of people. Not self-righteous in a bad way. I just mean wholesome people who actually put their lives, live their lives, truly live their lives for other people, sacrificially. I mean, who wouldn't want to help those people? Who wouldn't want to work for those people? You know what I'm saying? I've never regretted, you know, going there. But I will say that when I was young, I had like stars in the, you know, I had like dreams that I was going to be a great preacher and people would want to come hear me talk. Now I'm old and I realize I'm not a great preacher and people are nice to listen to me, and I'm very humbled that they support me at all. You know what I'm saying? So I will say you get older and a little bit wiser, and a lot of your dreams that you have when you're young, you realize when you get older how stupid they were. Like, and how dumb you were to think that, like, you were going to be important. You know what I mean? But like, I am important, like, in this small little world of my church, my family, my community. I'm politically active. So, like, you can live a very important life to a lot of people if you're willing to dedicate yourself to the local world in which you live. If you think the only way that your life is important is if you're the next president of the United States, or you're going to walk on the moon, or you're going to cure cancer, you're going to be miserable. Miserable. Do not go for that life. Make an impact in your life locally, in your family, your neighborhood, your church, your place of work, your political life. Dedicate yourself to those, you'll be very happy. Busy, but happy.
What advice would you have for someone who's struggling to make it
In life or in
Yeah.
school or...
in general?
I still believe in the American dream. Okay, I still believe that if you work hard, there's an old kind of truism that basically said if you want to succeed in America, there's 3 things you have to do. And and study after study has shown that if you do these basic 3 things, you can make it. One is get a degree, get a high school degree, not even a college degree. Although you guys could graduate high school with an associate's degree, so you could be way ahead of the game. So get a high school degree, finish that degree. Do not have children out of wedlock. It's very hard to raise children, ladies, and you get stuck with a lot more of the responsibility. Okay, the guy can walk away. So do not have children out of wedlock. It's hard to raise children. It's a lot easier with 2 people. When it's one person doing it, you're like, oh, how do I work and take care of a kid all day? And I'm not going to finish my education, so I'm not going to be worth very much in the marketplace. You're going to be like struggling most of your life. Statistics tell us, right? And the third thing is work a job, any job, but keep at it. Don't constantly quit a job and get mad at your boss. You know, sometimes in life, your first couple of jobs suck and your bosses treat you badly. I'm not saying take abuse. I'm saying sometimes you have to work a job you don't like for a year or 2 until you can find something better. And then something better will come along. But if you stick with it, I still believe in the American dream. Now, I think that dream is dying in part because our government's making really stupid choices in terms of our monetary supply. You ever notice how expensive groceries are these days? I don't know if you buy groceries. You notice how expensive gas
Coupons.
gets? What's that?
Coupons. Or you can go to Sam's or Costco and buy in bulk.
That helps a little bit. That is true. But even like, I mean, I bought fajita meat this morning and it was $1.49 a pound. I think that's insane. That's usually trash meat, you know? Back in the old days it was. Anyway, so I do think the American dream is getting harder, not because of evil corporations per se, but I think our government, the monetary supply is making things harder. But I still believe in it. So what would I say? You have to work, man. Like people, you're not entitled to anything. You know, when I was in college, that was the hardest I ever worked in my life. I taught guitar lessons where I worked another job. I took 18 hours every single semester. I did homework, 2 or 3, 4 hours of homework every single day. I attended classes all day. I practiced my guitar 2 hours a day. I mean, I worked 16 to 18 hours, it felt like, every day, almost every day of the week. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but not much. You gotta work hard. You gotta put the work in. If you put the work in, you'll be very valuable to somebody, you'll be very valuable to a company, or you'll work hard enough to start your own business, and you can make it. You can make it, but you have to work every single day at it. Can't take a lot of days off. People now, they want all the money that America offers, but they're not willing to put in the work. America is a free country. That means you have to carve out your future. You have to do it. You know what I'm saying? If you're willing to work, you'll be fine.
How do you always stay motivated?
I don't always stay motivated, actually. But I think you have to constantly learn. You have to constantly learn. And y'all are lucky. Y'all live in the era where YouTube, podcasts, I mean, I listen to 3 or 4 hours of podcasts every single day. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. Sometimes it's like stuff that doesn't, you know, it's not very important, it's kind of silly. But a lot of times it's important stuff, religious stuff, political stuff, and that motivates me. So sometimes I look at some of the craziness going on. Like just last night, my wife and I were talking about this teacher at a school in England. I'll be blunt, okay? It was talking about how, like, if you don't affirm LGBTQ rights, you have no place in a public school, because that's what British values are now. And I look at that and I'm going, of course I disagree with that. And I think, okay, I'm going to be motivated to fight the fight, you know, to teach what is right and to get people involved. So you have to feed your passion, okay? Like, the thing you're passionate about, like, it won't be very interesting to you forever. Like, it's gonna, like, exhaust you at some point. So you have to feed it. You have to read books. You have to listen to podcasts. You have to watch videos. You have to become an SME, okay, a subject matter expert, okay? So the thing that you're interested in, you have to nurse it along. You have to, like, listen to your, you know, what interests you and stuff like that. But you got to feed it. Like for me, when I'm most frustrated in my job, it's when I have not been reading the Bible. Of course, I think the Bible is the Word of God. I think it's the Word of life, right? So, so when I don't read my Bible, I lose interest and focus. When I do read my Bible, that Word of God feeds me. So that's my line of work, if you will, in your own line of work, whatever that may be. Become an expert in it. Become valuable to people. But also, like, you're not always motivated. You still got to get up and go. You know, that's the thing about keep a job, any job. Y'all are probably trolling time, right?
Yes, we
Yeah,
have like
we have-
9 minutes.
Okay.
All right, we can still finish. Just try shortening it a little.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No. I'll give shorter answers.
Do you ever want to retire? Or do you always want to be a pastor?
I think I do want to retire. I plan for my retirement. Some days I get tired of dealing with certain things, but I can't. It's hard for me to imagine not working at a church in some capacity, even as a volunteer. Yeah.
So my question for you is, do any of your friends or family that treat you successful?
No. We have a pretty close-knit family. I'm not that successful. But if you guys go on to be really successful and you hit it big and you make a lot of money, that's when your relationships will change. But I don't make enough money for that. So yeah, I wouldn't say that.
You want to?
My last question is, like, how do you balance all of this, your personal life and the church?
I have a digital calendar. Literally, my son's baseball, my daughter's camping, their school activities, our work activities. It's just a little bit every day, you know. It's a lot to juggle though. Like today, like I did yard work today. So, I have some friends coming over, some church people coming over tonight. So hence I went to the store like at 8 o'clock this morning to buy my fajita stuff. Because you gotta soak the meat and lime juice, to tenderize it.
If you want to, you can also put beer.
What's that?
If you want to, you can also put beer in it.
Beer?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try that next time.
Don't leave it too long or else.
Okay. Well, I know your dad can cook, so yeah. He makes the best brisket. Y'all didn't know I knew that, did you? Throwing out some
No,
knowledge.
I knew.
Okay.
Because I talked to her this morning.
Yeah.
Wait, how do you know?
Because
So
her
her-
family goes to this church.
Oh, really?
So her sister was a student at Heiss and HCC, and when I would sit out here doing what I'm doing right now, she would come talk, and we got to know each other. And we just had our wedding, 2 Saturdays ago, right? So that was pretty cool.
Oh,
So that
nice.
hardly ever happens. So the Magana family is like heroic in my world. You didn't know that, did you? Yeah. And it's got the little thing over the end, so it's Magana, right? I learned that when I went to Mexico. What else you got?
Alright. No,
I
that's
think
it
that's
for
it.
now.
Thank you so
Thank
much. We really
you.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much.
We
it was an
might
honor.
see you again.
Work
Yeah,
hard.
we'll probably
Seriously.
see you just passing by.
Hey,
but we might
seriously,
talk to you.
work hard
Based on recording.
and question what they teach you in school. So many students come up to me and they only tell me cliches. They hear a couple of things and they want to argue with me about really important topics, but they've not really thought it through.
Like they have to do the research.
Do some research, please. But
I know people like that.
But don't just listen to what your teachers say. Question them too. They used to say question authority, but then they didn't want you to question them. So I'm giving you permission. Ask questions. Ask thoughtful questions. I love it when people come to me and ask questions. Your teachers should love that too, because it shows you have an independent thought.
Alright, we never got your name. Can you tell us that?
Yes, it's Evan, EVAN, McClanahan.
And you're the
Yeah,
priest here.
I'm the pastor.
The pastor.
Yeah, we don't have priests.
That's okay.
We'll talk. One day we'll talk about. In fact, there's a 3-hour debate on the Roman Catholic priesthood on YouTube. You might find it interesting.
Sorry.
With James White and Mitch Packwell. I've watched it many times. But there's our website, flhouston.org. If you guys want to go and my name and my whatever is there. So I got 3 podcasts too. Y'all can listen to those too.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's very